Hello, my name is Russell Myers. Welcome to Issues Unite. So reports are now coming back that, and this is coming from the Ukrainian government, that journalists are not being allowed into the Kherson region, which has just been liberated from Russian forces. Why? Why is this? They say that it's too dangerous. Well, if the journalists are willing to take the risk, there's no real reason to keep them out unless you are trying to hide something. Why not send the journalists in with the Ukrainian military? They've done that in different areas, but now they're not going to do that here. Well, a good part of this has to do with, now there were reports coming back that, like CNN had this video of somebody, issuing a Nazi salute. I've seen that video, and I'll say that one is highly questionable, debatable, because the person that's in the video, he's holding a Ukrainian flag in his right hand and raises his left hand up in what could be construed as a Nazi salute, but the Nazi salute is issued with the right arm, not the left. He could just be waving. He's standing on top of a vehicle with the flag and raising his arm up. That could really just be a wave. So I'll call that one highly debatable, arbitrary, ambivalent, whatever. But on the other hand, Ukraine has stated that they are looking for Russian collaborators. Now, I understand in a region that they're just taking over, there's going to be security concerns. But in other areas that they have taken over, it has been shown exactly what this means, looking for Russian collaborators. It means that, first of all, it was the official Ukrainian government line that anyone that took place in the referendum, and I've talked about this during the referendums, that anyone that took part in the referendum would be considered a Russian collaborator. It does not matter how they voted in that referendum. And in one of my last videos, I mentioned Kherson had the highest rate of people that voted against joining the Russian Federation and voted in favor of remaining a part of Ukraine. But it does not matter how you voted. It's just the fact that you did vote in the referendum, you will be considered a traitor to Ukraine. In addition, in other videos, I have talked about, just a minute. I've talked about what it takes to be considered a Russian collaborator by Ukrainian forces, and by the Ukrainian intelligence service. If they will go into people's homes and look through their possessions, if you own books or magazines or anything like that that are in the Russian language, family photos, old children's artwork that have Russian language in it, in a region that has a historically high, about 30% or more, people that speak Russian. And yet this is going to label you as a Russian collaborator. So if you took part in the referendum, if you text with your neighbors that speak Russian, if you have artwork from your own children that has the Russian language in it, if you have books music, movies, anything that is in Russian, you are going to be labeled a Russian collaborator, and you will be interrogated, possibly tortured. So they don't want the media, they don't want journalists going in there and seeing these kinds of things. They don't want that being reported. Now, Ukraine is also talking about how utilities have been knocked out in the Kherson region, and they're working to restore the utilities, electrical and water and so forth. And they're making it sound like the Russian forces that were occupying this area knocked out the utilities, which makes absolutely no sense at all. The Kherson region has been under continuous attack from Ukraine, ever since Russia moved into that area. And for the last 8 years, Ukraine has been attacking utilities in the Donbass region for 8 years. Meanwhile, Kiev is lacking utility power, energy, as freezing temperatures come in. And most of Ukraine, at least 40% they have lost at least 40% of their capacity to generate energy. And that percentage is climbing because there are still, Russia is still hitting the infrastructure, the utility infrastructure in across Ukraine. I showed that this weekend, and that was on the live UA map that is Ukraine friendly. Anyway, so I do not see this winding up being a positive development for the Ukrainian government if they're going to divert resources to restore utilities in the Kherson region, while the people in Kiev and other western Ukrainian cities are lacking power and communications and water, and setting up warming centers and all this kind of thing. I don't think that that's going to turn out well. Besides, you are diluting all of your limited resources across a much wider area, which just weakens your ability to recover or sustain anything. If they really wanted to do something, then maybe they should be evacuating people from the Kherson region so that they can concentrate what resources they've got in a smaller area. Millions of people have evacuated out of Western Ukraine, so they've got the room to keep people, put them in vacant apartments and so forth and so on. Yeah, you've got those resources. You need to use them wisely instead of everyone winding up with a lack of resources. Concentrate your resources where they matter. And Ukraine is still attacking the eastern bank of the Kherson region where the Russian forces remain. So, yeah, it probably is an unsafe situation, but that's not a reason to keep journalists out. Journalists are there to cover this conflict. If they're not covering the conflict, then what are they covering? Only what is authorized. That's it. So you always have to question just what it is that you are not supposed to be seeing. Even from a propaganda perspective, if this area has been so-called liberated, then wouldn't you want the world to see the results of that liberation taking place? Wouldn't you want people to see people in Kherson being happy and welcoming the Ukrainian forces. Is that happening? That's highly questionable. But instead they ban the journalists from the Western journalists from entering these areas. Why? Anyway, yeah, in other places, the Ukraine has intensified their attacks on Donetsk and on Luhansk. So right now, there are experts that are saying that a major confrontation, possibly the most intense fighting since World War II, may be ramping up and formulating to happen within the next few days. The fighting is very intense along the Donetsk and Luhansk regions. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens from here, because that just recently started, and so who knows? There have been civilians that have been killed because Ukraine is attacking city centers that have no military presence whatsoever. But the Russian forces along the front line are trying to push them back. This is coming to a head right now. It appears. So let's wait and see what happens. I'd much rather there be peace talks, but I've been in favor of the peace talks, as I've said, for the last 8 years, and especially all of this year, from January until now, I've been in favor of peace talks. I don't want anyone to die at all. But I've got nothing to say on the matter, do I? Except on this channel as an opinion. So, anyway, share this video, talk about these subjects. If you can afford it, please donate whatever you can to help expand this channel and my presidential campaign, and I will catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a good day.